What up, family? It's your favorite brother, your favorite uncle, your favorite cousin, your favorite nephew, your best friend's best friend. It's me, Dr. Larry Smith, and welcome to Living For You, the YouTube channel. This is a safe space, a positive place in which we come together, we gather our thoughts, and we convene, and we just simply grow as people, because that's the goal of life, is to grow as people. My name is Dr. Larry Smith, for those of you who are new. If you want to know more about me, you can find out more about me at www.liveforyoucoaching.com. That's www.liveforyoucoaching.com. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me at Dr. Larry Smith on both Instagram and on Facebook. That's Dr. Larry Smith on both Instagram and Facebook. You can also go out to Amazon.com and buy my book, The Freedom Prescription. It's a very helpful, short, mini, little toollet to kind of help you along this journey of life. But I wanted to get right in it. Speaking of this journey of life, speaking of where we are, I felt the need, the compulsion to get on today and talk about somewhat of a serious subject. And I wore this particularly blue sweater for a purpose, because it is one of my favorite pieces of clothing, because it's so bright, it's so vibrant, it's energetic, it brings positivity, as does the music that you hear playing in the background. But what I was thinking and what I felt compelled to talk about today was, what do we do when it hurts? What do we do when it hurts? What do I mean? Well, we live in a time, currently in the moment that we are living in, and some of us longer than that, we are experiencing trauma on an unprecedented level. I mean, things are happening left and right in the world around us. Whether it is overseas or places like Haiti, or whether it's right here in our home with natural disasters, or whether it's family, loss, death, sickness. We have had a rough 2 years pretty much of this kind of consistency of just unprecedented hard times. And today I just felt overwhelmed with so many emotions. There was, yes, grief and sadness, but on the top of it, there was hope, and there was love, and there was compassion. It was just so many feelings. And so because I was overwhelmed, I felt obligated to jump on here today and speak on what do we do when it hurts? Because many times it hurts. I can speak from my own personal experience within the recent past of me losing my mother. That was a very hurtful thing for me, because I had never had lost that close to someone I spoke to multiple times a week, to someone I had a very close relationship with. Hell, I was a mother's boy. I was a mama's boy. And I was always there for her, and just, you know, she was in my life. So when I lost my mother, it was a significant difference for me, and it hurt. And I had to figure out somehow, some way to get from that place of hurt to a place of happiness. And in the middle of that hurt, between hurt and happiness, there is hope. But we don't see that hope when we're in the midst of our hurt. And I repeat that because I think that's the crux of what I'm trying to say today, and the crux of what I hope you get out of it. There's hurt, but in the middle of hurt, on our road back to our happiness, is hope. Hope that things are going to get better. Hope that this hurt goes away. Hope that you're able to move on. Hope that you're able to one day be with that person again. For some people, religion has made one of the most important dynamics of religion is the conversation about the afterlife. Why are we so preoccupied in religion with the afterlife? Simply because of the hope that lasts that exists in the middle of the hurt and the happiness. Okay? That's why the afterlife is an important conversation in religion, because of that reasoning. But you have to find a way to get from that hurt to that hope. And this is kind of, like I said, what I'm talking about today. How do we get to that when it hurts? Now, your emotions of pain, your emotions of hurt, your emotions of sorrow, grief, whatever emotions you are feeling, they're valid. Never let anybody tell you or make you feel that the emotions you have are not valid. They are absolutely valid. You are feeling a response to what is happening to you externally on the inside. And it's not going to always feel good. Life isn't always about rainbows, butterflies, candy, and flowers and happiness. Sometimes there'll be things that's just going to jolt us into a place of hurt. And we all can agree that over the course of these last 2 years, maybe even 3 for some of us, it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge to not be hurt. You know, you turn on the news and all you see is stories. Sometimes I have to turn off the news because all you see is stories of people hurting or people hurting other people on the news and on public platforms just because they can. Right? Just like there are people hurting, there are people who do the hurt. And generally those people who do the hurt are people themselves who are hurting, who can't find the hope to get to the happiness and eventually, lastly, ultimately to the healing. So what do we do when it hurts? My first suggestion is that you feel that pain, right? You experience what you are feeling. Do not try to deny it. Do not try to mask it. Do not try to numb it by other means like taking drugs or drinks or overworking or other ways that we find to try to mask hurt. Feel your pain, because it is only when you go through that fire that you're able to come out of the other side successfully. Grief and trauma has an interesting way of showing up in places that it was not wanted. There have been moments when I've missed my mom in the middle of a happy time, when I'm celebrating something or when I'm thinking of something, and all of a sudden, boom, it affects me. So you have no control really over when it affects you, but when it affects you, feel it, experience it. Put all of your mental faculties and emotional and physical and spiritual and mental stuff on it so that you can feel it. Because your feelings are the indicators of what needs to be worked on with you and in your life. Feelings are very, very, very important. So feel it. Have the feelings. Once you have those feelings, open yourself up to engaging the rest of the world. One of the biggest things I have a problem with, even still to this day, even still working as a life coach and trying to be my best present self today, is allowing others to come in and be there with me when I am going through. Generally, my personality is not, I have a tendency of being worried about making other people feel down. I noticed a long time ago as a kid that I have a very powerful emotional state. So like if I'm extra happy, it seems like the whole room is extra happy. If I'm mad, the whole room feels that energy. Like I emoted energetically very powerfully. So I made it in my mind years ago that I was going to try to temper sharing my truth of my emotional feelings with other people to avoid ruining something in their lives or harming them mentally, emotionally, or in some kind of inner way. And so I tend to hold on to my own personal emotions and not allow anyone to come in there. But what I'm learning as I am growing and becoming a better, more present me is that sometimes you need other people to come in, because they have the emotional capacity and bandwidth that you may not have at the moment. So it's like plugging into someone who is going to give you something that you are in need of. Because if you just sit by yourself and you go into it by yourself, you will never get to the place to where you can come out of it. So that person or those people who you look to, who come to you in your time, are meant to come to you as anchors, as people you can latch on to pull you eventually up out of the hurt that you're in. So do not push back on help, no matter what form it comes in. Everybody helps differently. So when I was going through what I was going through, feeling how I felt about my mother, everybody had a different perception on how I should feel. You know, everybody had a different way on what they thought was the way I should feel. And they had comments, and everybody had different viewpoints on the afterlife and on the present life and on all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it all mattered in the grand scheme of things to be a tool or a vessel for me to find my healing. I didn't think about it that way in that moment. And in some moments it was aggravating, but I had to realize that these were just light. These are just angels sent here to help me, maybe from my mother. And so when you see the people in your lives who come to help you, let them. Because maybe what you're missing, they're here to replenish and help you find. The next thing is do something that you enjoy. Life is going to throw you all kinds of curveballs. Life is going to throw you all kinds of experiences. Some of them are not going to be good, and we know that. But you can intentionally choose to do things that you like. Even if it's just eating those cookies that you've been dieting from. I know some people be on diets and they don't eat certain things because certain things are not healthy for them or whatever. But they appreciate those things. Well, if you appreciate those things and you love those things and you're in a mood and you're hurting, then do what you love. Travel. Eat what you want to eat. You know, within reason. Do everything within reason. But at the end of the day, don't deny yourself the joy of those things, because that pleasure will help you to get out of your hurt. You know? While in that same vein of doing things that you enjoy, focus your mind on the positive. It was Wayne Dyer who said, you get what you see. Seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing. So what you believe and perceive something to be, that's what you're going to have. So if you want the moment to feel better, envision yourself in a better moment. Perceive yourself in a better moment. If you're having economic hardships, see yourself as wealthy and well taken care of and having all your needs met. If somebody you love passed on, remember all of the good times that you and that person shared, the memories that as long as God grants you your mind, you're going to always have and be able to go back to and sit in that joy. If it is sickness, think about yourself as whole and complete and restore back to your glory of when you were happy, whole, and healthy. See healing for yourself. So while in the vein of doing something positive that you enjoy doing, let your thinking reflect the state you want to be in. It might not be the state you're in physically, but it is definitely a state you can begin to see yourself in, as the universe will align to bring you to that place that you desire to be in. So let your thinking manifest where you want to be, not where you are. Okay? And that is how you get to the hope. The hope. The hope. The hope is such a glorious moment, right? It's not the healing. It's not the happiness, but there is joy in the hope. You know, to quote the Bible, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning, right? What does that mean? That means at some point the page will turn. At some point the page will turn. And the page will turn to something that is positive. Everything happens that way. That no matter what's on this page, the next chapter, it's going to be better. Because what's happening now will develop into something new in the morning. And if you think of on a literal level, when we're hurt and when we're sad, we're in mourning. Whether we're in mourning for somebody dying, or we're in mourning for losing something, or we're in mourning for health, or whatever the case may be, we go in mourning. And I've always found it very peculiar. And I don't know the full etymology of it, but I've always found it very peculiar, which I should have researched before I start talking, but I've always found it peculiar that the term for when you're going through something is mourning. I've always found that peculiar. I'm like, mourning. Even though it's spelled different, M-O-U-R, not M-O-R, but I've always found it that the same word is used for when you're feeling you're going through something. When you're going through something, you're in mourning. But as I began to develop myself more intuitively, spiritually, maturely, presently, I began to think of it this way. Even in the midst of hurt, in the middle of it, you are always on the next precipice of something better. So despite what's going on in the world, you are always, 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 always on the precipice of a new day, of a new dawn, of a brighter future. And that is the hope in the middle of hurt and happiness. The understanding, the acceptance, and the knowledge and belief that you are always on the precipice, always on the edge of a better future, of a better outcome, of a better, more prosperous, more healthy, more whole, more happier page. So when you turn the page, that's waiting for you. So you're in the morning, if you get what I mean. Right? If you get what I mean. So I know that things hurt. I know that we are in a time in which there is so much. I feel it. I'm human. I'm not void, living in some fantasy world, not being able to understand, see, and feel what's happening in the world around me, what's happening in my world, what's happening around in the space for the vast majority, if not all of us, in this human tribe. But we gotta remember that hurt is a state, but it's temporary. Because as soon as you get beyond that hurt, you will get to that moment of hope. When you know things are going to get better, when you are confident that things are going to get better, and it is in that moment of hope that you get to your happiness. And once your happiness becomes joy and is solidified in your being, you're healed. And that's how that works. It is up to each and every one of us to determine how long that journey is going to be. The journey between your hurt and your healing can be many miles, many years, many decades, or you can shorten the curve because you already know what journey you're on and you know the outcome of what that journey is. No matter what that hurts in the present is, there is healing, there is wholeness, there is happiness at the end of every journey you are on, even the journeys that hurt. So there is life beyond the hurt. And I know it hurts. Feel the hurt, but eventually get to your happiness so you can get to your healing. That's it. I felt so moved to be able to talk about that because I wanted it to be genuine. So I just kind of threw something on. That's why I keep pulling it, because this sweater's a little laggy. But I just had to, because it was so pressing on my spirit to speak on that. And to all of you who are in the midst of hurt, we're with you. We support you. We understand where you are, because we've all been there. And some of us are sharing that with you. You're not alone. Don't feel alone. Cry. Endure. Feel it. And then eventually we'll turn the page. As I always say, I love you. I love you all with the love of Christ, of God, of the powerful, of all of the universe, of everything in existence, energy, honesty, love. And I'll see you in the next video.